What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Modern Fatherhood Podcast. I know it's been a little while. I had some issues with the podcast app or whatever I use to record, and it kept cutting up the episodes. And I do it all on my phone, and you can't edit stuff like that on your phone. And if you can and you know how, let me know so I can download it and level up a bit because I don't know technology at all. Um, but one of the things that got requested is a couple of you guys see that I'm part of another podcast called the Southern Heathens podcast, and they see y'all saw my Mjolnir and y'all understood what that means. And I got asked about religion in the household, and I didn't really want to talk too much about religion on this podcast, but it is something to do with the family and being a dad, so we gonna talk about it a little bit. I don't think it's that hard of a concept. I understand that other people might be very passionate or they might feel that it's necessary, that you can't have a household of separate religions. I strongly disagree, seeing as I have one. And it's never caused any strife. It's never caused any disagreements. It's never caused any problems whatsoever. Um, so that being said, for those of you that didn't know, I'm what's called a Norse pagan or a heathen, and my children's mom is Christian, and it's never caused any issues with us because we've always took a stance of respect on it, which is what I would say to you guys as well. Is it could all work out if you're respectful and you communicate. With my religion, we have ancestor veneration, we have offerings, we have altars, and things of that nature, which is a lot different from what other people might be used to. And it's something that, my kids see, it's something that visitors of the house can see, and it's not something I hide, obviously. I don't hide it at all. But it's not something I hide from my children either. And my children do ask questions, and our stance on it is that we don't push our beliefs on our children because we want them to make that decision at a later age. Um, One of the things that I believe, and this is just me, however you want to believe or feel, that's totally okay. Um, I don't believe a child can make a decision on what they want to believe in for the rest of their life, whether that's religion or really any big decisions whatsoever. Um, you can't tell me a kid that can't decide if they want to eat chicken nuggets or if they want to eat a corn dog, and it's like the biggest decision of their day and they get upset about it. You can't tell me that they're ready to choose what belief system they want to have for the rest of their lives. That's just not something that I personally believe in or believe is possible for a child. So, and again, that's my personal belief. Um, I was raised a Christian. I was in the Christian church until uh, I guess I was about 18, around 18. Um, and over the years, I found what I believe in. But again, that's just me. Um, there's a lot of things wrong to me personally that doesn't sit right with me based on my experiences with the church. Um, but that doesn't, when I say that, that doesn't mean that I think because you're a Christian you're a bad person. I don't believe that at all. Um, there's just things that I don't agree with, and there's things that I believe in that you won't agree with, and that's totally okay because it can be a respectable conversation or a respectful conversation. Um, so like when it comes to holidays, that's the biggest thing that people ask is how does the conflicting religions affect holidays? It doesn't, because while my beliefs are different and while I have different things that I do personally on the holidays, when it comes to them, the main goal is the kids and that they have fun. Um, I don't sit there and tell them what the holiday is for me unless they ask. I'll explain it. Because, we have our Yule log and things like that, and we do different types of decorations. But for the most part, holidays are holidays for kids. At Christmas, they know they're getting presents and they're really excited about presents. At Easter, it's about the Easter bunny. They're going to go get those eggs and so on and so forth. It's not something that I feel like you should have to struggle too bad with if you're putting the kids first, which should be what you're doing, in my personal opinion. Um, you don't have to bring the kids into it at all, honestly. You and your partner uh, need to sit down and have a talk about it, preferably before you have kids while you're dating, and have that discussion. I definitely feel like it's something that you should figure out beforehand, unless you uh, realize later on that, hey, this is my beliefs, this is what I'm going to follow, and then it's a different conversation. But you should have the conversation because I understand that in a lot of Christian faiths and beliefs, you have to be equally yoked. And that can cause a struggle with some people because of that belief. In the event that that's not the case and you're a Christian and you don't believe that, uh, you should be open to your partner having different beliefs because they don't affect you. And they won't affect your kids if you're both respectful about it. Now, I'm not going to sit there and look at my son and be like, God's not real. That's not the case. I'm not saying that God isn't real. I believe that Jesus and God are real. That just doesn't mean I just don't follow them. So when my son asked me about it, I'm very open with him and honest. And when he asks me about the Bible, I tell him about the Bible because he goes to church with his grandma. And if he asks about the stories, I tell him the stories because there are a lot of good truths in the Bible and there are good stories and lessons in the Bible. And there are a lot of lessons that I don't mind him knowing. Um, but at the same time, my 7-year-old has asked me if he was going to hell, and I don't believe in I don't believe that a child will go to hell just because they're a child or eternal sin. I don't buy into any of that. Um, it's not for me because you can't tell me my innocent baby is going to hell. And this is why I didn't really want to talk about religion on this podcast, because it can get very heated very fast, and I don't want to upset you guys because I respect all of you guys. I don't have anything against any one of you. Um, these are my own personal beliefs that I've created, that I follow. But you and your spouse need to have a conversation about boundaries, if there's any boundaries that you have. But you need to make sure those boundaries don't try to box you in or hide your beliefs. You need to see where you agree and disagree with the kids about, them seeing the practice or church and things like that. Because in my case, um, it was a conversation about my son going to church because I personally didn't really care for him to go to church at a young age because I didn't want him to feel pressured into having that belief. Um, and the same for my other kids. And what me and their mom agree on is that we want them to be free to make their own choices and their beliefs and not feel like they have to follow what we do because your religion and your beliefs and what you believe is going to happen after you die is a very individual thing, or it should be an individual thing. And it shouldn't be a question on whether you're going to respect their decision because those are your children and you should love them no matter what. So, holidays and stuff in general, it's actually very simple. Communicate, have a discussion, and be respectful. Unfortunately, I know that there are some cases where, especially in the case of pagans and heathens, um, they're not very open about it. And I do understand because it is very hard to come out and tell people, hey, I'm different in this way. Especially if you live in the South in the Bible Belt, um, where I work. I know I couldn't tell you another heathen or pagan out there because I live in the South, so it's very much a Christian area, and most of the people I work with are Christian. That being said, though, they are all respectful, and we are able to get along, and it's never a problem for me, um, which is great because I would hate for it to become a problem. Um, when you're having the conversation, you have to remember that it can be an emotional conversation and it can be a hard conversation because, especially if you're raised in the church, there are things with the church that you're going to want or they might want to do, whether that's Sunday school, vacation Bible school, uh, things of that nature, kid group, teen group, youth group. Um, but you guys are going to have to work that out and communicate about that because I'm sure there will be differing opinions. But be respectful, communicate, and it should definitely work out in the long run. I I struggle with the thought of a child going to church, and the only reason I say that is because a lot of times, especially if they're around the adult sermons and things like that, they are very definite and absolute, and those things aren't something that a child understands. I don't believe a child should be fearful for their actions, and fear for their soul at such a young age when the concept of that is not something that they are able to grasp and understand, um, which was shown very, very quickly by my oldest son when he asked me if he was going to go to hell. Uh, and I told him no, he was not. Um, it is a very hard topic to talk about. This episode won't be very long. I will have a longer episode for you guys soon. I lost two of them to that app mishap, so I'm sorry I haven't been around. Um, but I'll be back to the at least two times a day TikToks and YouTube and all that, and I will be back to the full length episodes very soon. Um, but yeah, that's all the religious talk you'll probably ever get on this podcast. Sorry if it upsets you, but it's the truth. Um, yeah, trying to think on if they had any other questions or statements. It was mainly about holidays. One thing to talk about is probably split household. Um, if you are a divorced dad or a separated, however you want to put it, and y'all have separate households, uh, both households should be respected, his and hers separately. Both houses are going to have different beliefs and they're going to have different practices. And when you do separate and have those separate houses, that should be a conversation. Like, this is going to be the standard for my home. What's the standard for your home going to be? And y'all have to meet in the middle, or you have to set it up to where both households are being adhered to, and it's also not putting a conflict on the children because it's not fair to put y'all shit on your kids. That's very important to stress because y'all breaking up and y'all being separate is not something that your children should bear the weight of on their shoulders. Um, so, like, say at my house, like we don't say grace or anything like that, but I have an offering for my gods separate whatever dinner is made. That would be something that I would have in my household. While at her house, they might say grace, and that's totally okay. If my kids come to my house and they want to say grace, why would I stop them from saying grace? You see what I mean? It's about respecting things and just supporting things, um, and just don't be petty and vindictive. It's not on your kids. You have to remember that. So, yeah, I think the biggest thing I can stress here is communication and respect. And I guess if you're in a situation where there isn't communication and respect, then practice or believe in a way that does not stress or put pressure on your children. That is the main lesson to be learned there. Oh wow, a truck spun out on the highway. That's not good. It looked to be okay though. So yeah, that's the religious talk of the podcast. If you do have any other questions or you want to know more about my beliefs, or if you have specific cases that you would like advice on, then please send me a message, or you can email me at modernfatherhoodpod@gmail.com. You can find a group on Facebook where you can message me directly. It's the Modern Fatherhood Podcast. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, Apple. So I'm on all those. But specifically, you can message me on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, and I will get back to you or send me an email. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Uh, and I will be back to you guys. We'll say Friday or Saturday, and I'll record a full length episode for you guys then. One of the things I would ask is if you have situations you would like me to read or talk about, please send them in. Topics would be great to send in because I really want to keep this podcast flowing and I want it to be aimed towards actually helping you guys. So please send those in and I will put them on a list and I will hit every single one of them. So you guys have a great day and I will see you guys next time on the Modern Fatherhood Podcast. We'll see you later.